to be sharing with you a whole bunch of things that I wish I knew before I applied to college. I went through this last year and it is a really tough time, so I think it would have been really helpful to know all these things. So this is kind of what I wish past me knew and some advice that I have for people who are applying to college this year or next year, or even just thinking about it far off in the future. It's great to be prepared, which is something I was not. So the first section I have is picking schools to apply to, which I didn't really do a great job of. I went on tons and tons of trips with my parents trying to look at campuses without doing very much research. We had just been visiting colleges that we knew the names of because they were whatever Ivies or just like really well-known schools, but I didn't really know about the schools. I didn't try to picture myself there, which was a problem because we saw so many schools and I had a lot of no's because I didn't take the time to do research ahead of time. It would have been very helpful if I had done more research about what colleges to visit so we didn't waste all that time and energy going to visit colleges that just were not going to be an option for me. And then because of the research later on, it did work out for me because as I learned how I should do it. So I applied early decision, then I had a second round of other applications, so I did have time to kind of learn and try it again, not as much as I would have liked to, but I did get a chance to kind of redo some things. So because of the research that I ended up doing, I was able to commit to the University of Central Florida without ever visiting it because I did so much research and I thought, that sounds like a great place for me. I think I can do well there, and I ended up committing there. I have since visited the campus and I think it's going to be a great fit for me. But that shows if you do your research, you should be good. You can't predict, some things will change. You might not actually like it when you get there, but research helps a lot. So definitely do your research about what colleges you should visit and where to apply, even if you can't visit them. Try to look for schools that would be a good fit overall and not specifically for each major because that might change for you. I was just looking at schools that have good academic rankings in general because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I do think I know what I want to do now, but if it doesn't work out for me, then I'm at a huge school and they have so many different programs and I can change my major because they have so many different opportunities. If you don't know what you want to do, you can look for a school that has a really wide range of majors and class offerings because you'll be able to try everything out and not be stuck in, you know, if you think you want to go to engineering, so you go to an engineering school and then you realize that's not for you, then you're kind of a little more stuck. But you can be more flexible if you're at a school that is good overall. I wish I could have gone to college fairs. My school didn't start doing college fairs until this year, so the college fair this year I helped volunteer at it, but I was already committed by then. So if I had been able to go to a college fair, that would have been fantastic because you get to meet and make relationships with admissions officers, which is really important. I didn't really do that and it was definitely reflected in my results from my applications because I was just an unknown. So if I'd had the opportunity to go to a college fair, I think I would have gone, but I guess I could have sought out more admissions officers to make friends with. So this one doesn't necessarily apply to me because I didn't have the opportunity to go to a college fair, but it is definitely something I would recommend because you can make your chances better of getting into your dream school. Next, I kind of wish that I had looked over my priorities a little more because now that I'm thinking about it, I'm much more concerned about the lifestyle of being at my school than the actual academics of it. It's kind of a little more focused on where I'm going to be living and the weather and what there is to do in the area instead of, you know, they have like a really good whatever program. I was much more focused on like how happy I'm going to be there because that's definitely going to impact my academic performance and how much I can get out of college. I applied to a lot of schools where I probably wouldn't have been happy, not necessarily because of like the campus or the school itself, just because of the location. I don't really enjoy the winter, so I applied to some schools in Florida, which was a great idea because I'm going to be so much happier down there than I would have staying up north. It was kind of a little bit of a fail on my part to apply to so many schools up north as well because realistically I probably wasn't going to be happy there. Another thing, don't pick schools you can't envision yourself at. I kind of threw in some applications to like very reach schools, Ivies, and I could not necessarily picture myself there. Like, obviously you can if you try really hard, but if realistically you can't see yourself being a student there, succeeding and being happy, then probably it's not a good plan for you to apply there or to commit there. And then finally, about picking schools, try to pick more safeties and targets than you think you'll need, because obviously everyone is talking about the Ivies and like whatever very, very high level schools, but they don't talk about the more realistic schools, and I kind of didn't apply to enough realistic schools. So it's very important to find schools that they may not be perfect for you, but you don't want to end up in April being like, oh no, I didn't get into any schools, what do I do? So the next section is completing applications. The first thing is to be persistent and stay in contact with admissions. I did this a little bit, it did not pay off for me, but I think if I were using that towards my more target and safety schools, then it would have been more advantageous. I did not make very many contacts with admissions. I just had like one school that I was in contact with admissions, and if I had like gone to college fairs and made more friends with admissions officers, then I would have been able to do this more. But I would definitely recommend checking up on them. It's like, hey, so like I'm working on my application right now, like I'm super excited, and then like let them know when you submit it and you can't wait to hear back, and then just kind of like check back with them every so often. And you might annoy them a little bit, but try your best to like be respectful, but make your name known, and maybe they'll be like, yeah, like this person is very persistent and they're very committed to this school, like we really want them. So that's definitely something you can do to make your chances a little better. Probably the biggest downfall of my college application time was I was late on everything. Like, I got in my early decision application on time, like I was supposed to, but that was the only thing I really knew about. That was the only thing I knew when it was due. I wanted to apply to California schools, but I thought everything was going to be due at the end of December, just because that's kind of how all the other schools were, I thought. But it turns out basically everything has an early deadline in November, and don't miss that. Try to be as early as possible with everything. Like, apply right now. If there's a school that you really want to go to, do not wait until their November 1st deadline. Do it now. If you get it in now, you might hear back early. Sometimes they will get back to you early. Then you can commit early, you can get into your housing early, apply to the honors college early, you can apply to scholarships early. All that stuff is stuff that I either was late on or completely missed out on because I applied at the end of December because I thought that was when I was supposed to apply. So with UCF, I applied one of the last days of December. I heard back in January, which I was like, okay, like cool. And so I waited until April because that's when the rest of my decisions came out, and I should have applied to housing. I did not get into on-campus housing because it fills up. I had no idea you have to apply to housing before November 1st, and you have to apply to the honors college then, and you have to apply for scholarships then. So I missed out on all of that because I waited too long. I didn't know, so I can't like be mad at myself for that, but I do wish I had gotten stuff in earlier. So do not procrastinate. Do it now so that you can have fun the rest of your senior year. I would also recommend being decisive. Pick a few target schools, a few reach schools, and a few safety schools, and focus your energy and attention on making it happen. Like I said, make friends with your admissions officer. I don't want to say pester them, but keep in contact with them and do a good job in your application. I know that's really hard. It's a lot to do, and the essay, like, who even knows? But just if you do your absolute best on the application, there's not really anything else you can do other than just checking in with your admissions officer. I would also recommend making a great resume. There's no spot necessarily like in the Common App for it, but once you apply and you get into the portal for each college, there's a spot where you can upload supporting documents or videos, or depending on what major you're applying to. But if you make a solid resume, including all of your extracurriculars, your work experience, basically your hobbies, just all of that, make yourself sound really awesome, and put in a cover letter at the beginning and say like, hey, I'm really committed to your school. I've wanted to go here. I think it'll be a perfect fit for me. I have great work ethic. I want to join whatever clubs, and just show why you're going to be a good addition to their school. All of that on your cover letter, put it in your resume, send it in. I think that'll really help you. I can't speak from experience because I only did it for one school and I got denied there, but it was an Ivy, so it kind of makes sense. But I did try my best. So the last section is called being okay with getting a no, because I got a lot of no's. If you haven't watched my college decision reaction video, there were a lot of no's, and you kind of just have to be okay and deal with it. It is part of life, unfortunately. It is hard for schools to tell your value just from all the stuff that you put in your Common App. There are so many people who have basically all of the same stuff. They all joined whatever club or were in whatever sport, and they did National Honor Society, and they had a job. Like, so many people are like that, and it's really hard for them to tell why you specifically are the one that is meant for their school. Kind of just have to keep that in mind, but also keep that in mind when you're doing your application so that you can try to include things that make you unique. When you do get rejection, you have to know that it is going to work out, which I did figure out. Like, I'm very happy to be going to UCF, but it was definitely not where I thought I was going to end up. You just have to be okay with how things go and know that it's gonna work out, it's gonna be fine. If you don't like wherever you end up, you can transfer. Or you can always try again the next term or the next year. You can start at a school that you did get into and then transfer a semester in or a year in. Or you can take a gap year and spend the time in between getting work experience, beefing up your resume, or just doing something cool. You could travel or whatever you want to do. And then finally, you don't need to know where you want to go or what you want to do. You will figure it out eventually, and that might change someday, but it is going to be fine. I definitely needed to hear this because I had no idea where I wanted to go. I had absolutely no idea what I wanted to do either, so now I know somewhat what I want to do. I think it's going to be fine. And I know where I'm going, and I'm very excited for that. So just have to kind of be okay with things happening and make the best of it and figure it out along the way. So that is all of the advice that I have. There are so many things that I wish I'd known last year. This would have turned out differently, but I'm not mad about it. I wouldn't want to go back because, like I said, I'm happy with where I'm going. Try to do your best the first time, and there's not really much else that you can do other than that. So I hope this was helpful. Good luck to everyone doing their applications, whether it's right now or it's next year and the next couple of years. Good luck with everything. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys later. Bye.